Hello friends, I am Chevee. Welcome to my shed. How are you today? How's life in your world? How's things where you are? Oh, got the hiccups. I hope it's all good. I know that a lot of you are software developers or you have a background in development, and when I talk about this project that I'm working on, you have a lot of questions or a lot of recommendations, and so I kind of wanted to touch on some of those things for those of you who are concerned for the project that I have taken over. And first of all, you got to understand how this thing was developed. This thing was developed by a self-taught developer over the last 20 years, and he was a Linux guy. And he did all of his, he did most of his production, most of his development on production, live on the server. He used an editor called Hessling, which is a fork of Vim, I think. And he did it live. Like, that was just how he did things. So, yes, I have a test environment, but my current test environment runs in parallel with production, and it runs on the production server. It's just housed in its own isolated folder structure, which is theoretically unsafe. It would be possible for me to maybe write some bad code that could take down production through, I could overload the server essentially and you hog up all the resources, and it has happened in the past. We have a few jobs that if something gets out of whack, we can run a few jobs to kind of self-repair the database, and those can make everybody's experience slow down dramatically or even crash completely. So it is possible to affect production with testing, but it's pretty slim. And the important part that okay, I don't necessarily agree with it. I would like to have a completely separate standalone test instance, but because of how fragmented the code base used to be, the prior version of the code base was extremely fragmented. People were running almost their own unique code base because it was a blend of a whole bunch of different files that were loaded based on who they were. And a lot of that has been tightened and pulled together so that it's no longer like that. But there are still a whole lot of unique conditionals in the code that is switching things based on who is looking at it. So one nice byproduct of having my test environment running on production is with a simple configuration switch in the client's config file, I can switch them over to my test branch and I can hack away, on whatever is broken for them. It's already broken, so I'm not going to break it more. And I can use their live instance to test. And sometimes it's the only way because there are these weird little loophole trip falls that I might encounter that's just unique to their instance. It's not ideal. And one of the projects for this year is to get a completely separate test system set up. The problem is the entirety of this program exists across 4 separate servers. It also has a very, very robust cron system in place that's doing a whole lot of the loading and a whole lot of the workload, like behind the scenes type stuff. And so replicating all of that in a way it's going to be difficult. Aside from just cloning all those servers and setting up a virtual network and doing that sort of stuff, it would be very, 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 very difficult to set up a pure test instance. It would be possible for me to set up a test instance that doesn't have all the features, just to test kind of the core code, which is probably something that I'm going to be doing very soon because I'm going to start, as some of you have mentioned, every time I touch a file, my goal is to make it better than it was when I found it, and maybe even start to strip out some of the inane things that happen. We use version control. We use Git. I use a lot of branches. We've started using Git Flow in SourceTree recently. Well, we've been using it for a while, and it's really super awesome to just spin up a quick feature bang out a feature or, a hot fix and then have it push all that out to master and my test branches and all my various branches simultaneously. I love that option in Git, so I do that quite a bit, especially because I currently have my master branch, and then I have my development branch. I have the original developer's development branch, and then I have feature branches as I need to make them. So if I need to throw a hotfix out real quick, I can just push it to everything when something happens, and that's really it's super convenient. So I really like Git Flow for that. What else have I been? People have been asking a lot of questions. It's a bit of a mess, it is, and it's a matter of a man who was constantly. This wasn't his only project, right? There was dozens of other things on his plate. We have dozens of clients, plus our own internal people. We had a boss who liked to just ask for new features constantly. So the previous developer, he never had time to go back and fix. And because of our current structure, because it's just me, I'm the only person working on this. We have thousands upon thousands of users. We have dozens of instances of this program set up for colleges, K-12 schools. I'm it. I'm the only person in my building who knows how this system works. And that's just kind of how it is. We're a state agency. We can't afford to hire developers. We can't afford to have a team working on this. Maybe if we could start generating more sales, if we could get a larger client base, then sure, we might be able to afford that, and then me and somebody might be able to really tackle this thing. But the previous developer had nobody, and so he never had time to go back and fix. He never had time to say, I'm going to take this chunk of the program and fix it. The only time he had that was the last 2 years. When we decided it's time to move on to a new version of the code base, he went back and rewrote a whole lot of it. So it's in its current state, it's a mess, but it is miles and miles above what it was a couple of years ago on the old version. It's so much better. So there's still a long way to go, and that's going to be on me. Hopefully soon-ish we can kind of get the other developer to help me piggyback at least for testing purposes, so I can show him how to diagnose problems. That would be good. I can show him how to test certain things. I do not have automated tests set up yet. That's something I'm definitely going to work on, because there are a whole lot of fringe cases. And I need a quick way to figure those out. So that's in the works. I'm also currently working on a database tool because the databases are all out of sync. One instance might have a table structure that includes current timestamp, for instance, and the other one might be expecting a timestamp to be submitted with an SQL request, and they're all out of sync like that, and I'm working on a tool to kind of patch all of that and make it all work the same, because it's a bit of a nightmare. The other thing I didn't mention yesterday was that these tables, the main working tables, say if you had a ticketing system that generated tickets, that table, the tickets table, is different for everybody, because we would allow, inside the tool you can decide what information that you want filled out, and it generates a table for you. And that makes life a little bit difficult. So, automated tests are coming. A true test environment, I think, is pretty high on my priority list. But right now, I have at least 5, maybe 6 major bugs I need to fix before I even think about doing anything, because the program is significantly broken in certain ways that I need to do some research on. But we're getting there. It's just a matter of time at this point. So I appreciate everybody's concern. I appreciate all of your questions, and I appreciate very much your suggestions, because I am a self-taught developer as well. I'm just going at this the best way I know how, with very little authoritative leadership to lean on, because it's just me. So thank you for being here as always. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, being amazing friends and wonderful people. I really appreciate you, and I'll see you again on Monday. Today's word you should know to sound smart is the last word in the E's. It is extrapolate, a verb meaning to infer by taking known information into account. The tasteful 4-carat diamond on her finger allowed us to extrapolate that Portia had accepted James's proposal. Extrapolate, E-X-T-R-A-P-O-L-A-T-E. I need to extrapolate a whole lot of this code and fix it.